When I was born, I was born with a tethered spinal cord, um, or some people might call it a mild case of spina bifida. So I was lucky that it wasn't worse. You know, a lot of people with spina bifida are in wheelchairs and have other issues, but mine was a very mild case of it. And so the doctors actually told my parents, "Hey, no, nothing really. Don't worry about it. Life will go on. You won't have any issues." So, I was like every other kid, and I learned how to walk like every other kid at the normal age they do, and things were fine, and life goes on. And as I'm in elementary school, I'm noticing that I'm a little bit different than other kids, such as like athletic. I wasn't very athletic, which I didn't think much of because my family's not that athletic, but my balance was a little bit worse. And I remember being, like playground with my friends, and they would play, and I, wasn't as fast, and I couldn't run very well. And I thought, well, it's just because my family's not athletic. But my balance was actually worse than most. It wasn't like I was falling all the time, but the big issue that I was having is when I would laugh, I would pee on myself and urinate on myself, and it was so embarrassing. And I remember being a child at times, like trying to hide it, that my pants were wet, and maybe not wanting to hang out with certain friends at certain times because it was just so bad. So my parents said, you know what, May, it probably has something to do with that tethered spinal cord, so let's get them checked out by the doctor. And so I got checked out, and come to find out those two were related, and one had to do with the other, and it had to do with issues with the lower back and the spine is why I had these problems. So I had a surgery at age 10, and they basically, what they call untethering the cord. And I woke up from surgery, and you gotta understand, I was scared, and I woke up and I couldn't walk. But the good news is from that surgery, I actually learned how to walk again in about 3 days with physical therapy, and I was back to a normal life again. But then as time went on, I started having these really, really bad headaches. It was about 3 years later, and I was in school, and I remember being there just going, "Oh, my head hurts so bad," or I would do something and like jump on the trampoline, and my head would hurt, or I would laugh, and some kind of like jarring of my head would have this horrible, horrible headache. I mean, I've had some headaches in my life, but this like exceeds all of them. It was intense. I remember laying on my bed almost in tears, and at times in tears just because it hurt so bad. And I was like, something's not right. Something is not right. So I ended up going back to the hospital to get checked out to see maybe there's something connected here. What's going on? And I had a CAT scan or MRI, whatever they did at the time, and the doctor said, "We have got to rush Dustin into surgery. This is not good." What happened was a scar tissue ended up being on my lower back from that surgery 3 years prior, and it wrapped, on my spinal cord, and it pulled my spinal cord down. And when it did, it also pulled down at the base of my brain. Well, everybody has like fluid on their brain, but what happened was his mine got built up and caused pressure. The word for it is hydrocephalus, if you may have heard that before. And so it was so much pressure, it was causing these really, really bad headaches. They said if you do not get him in and you do not have this surgery, he is going to be paralyzed. So we knew it was rushed. It was like make the appointment, get the surgery done, and go for it before it got worse. So it's thankfully, thank to God that I'm not paralyzed, and it got caught in time to where it didn't get that bad. So I go to the doctor, and we schedule a surgery. I go in, but when you have hydrocephalus and all that fluid, your blood pressure shoots up, and when your blood pressure is that high, they can't put you under anesthesia that long because anesthesia can cause your blood pressure to shoot up also. So they said, we've got to do something to relieve that pressure so we can be in surgery. So they find out, let's do a shunt. So right over here on the side of my head, I have what's called a shunt. It's a pump. And when my head would get too full, it would pump the water, or rather fluid, I should say. It would pump the fluid out. And the doctor said, you know what, it's not draining fast enough. His blood pressure's still high. We've got to get him into the surgery for his lower back. So let's go in and do what they call a Chiari. And a Chiari is where they go in and remove part of the bone from the base of your brain, or the base of your skull, and it lets that fluid flow. So I go into surgery, and I just remember being scared to death, being a 13-year-old and having surgery after surgery. You know, that's tough enough. And then knowing I was going to have to have another surgery on my back. Well, in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to have this back surgery and come out, and I'm going to walk in 3 days like I did prior surgery. So I go in and I have surgery, and this surgery is 8 hours long. You can only imagine what it's like. If you ever had a surgery, what it's like to come up from a surgery that's that long. It takes a while, and I come to, and I'm waking up from surgery, from all the anesthesia in my body, and I come into realization that something's not right, a little at a time, and I realize I can't feel my legs. And not only can I not feel my legs, but I can't move my legs. So you can only imagine how scared I was as 13 that, oh, this is not good, because, and I don't know what to think of this. I don't know what's going on. I don't know how, I just know it's not good. Already scared to death from 2 prior surgeries, and now this surgery, and I'll be honest with you, it was the worst day of my life. The worst day of my life. To just wake up and not be able to move my legs, feel my legs, stand on my legs. I do remember, you know, going home, and the physical therapist was a good friend of the family's, and coming to our house and seeing what I can move, and he was doing these little tests to see what I can feel and can't feel, and it's gotten better over the time. But at the time when they said, okay, see what you can move, the only thing I can move is my left leg barely moved the big toe, and it was like, there's a little bit of hope, there's some movement. So I gave it everything I had in physical therapy. I mean, I pushed myself. Therapy at home, I went to therapy. Sometimes I go to therapy twice a day, and I mean, I worked hard. Gave it everything I had. I got to a point where there was no getting any better into the certain point I got to, which was, well, let me say this. I went from being in a wheelchair, and then, you know, I was on a walker, and then crutches, and then I ended up getting to where I was able to use what they call a KAFO, a knee, ankle, foot orthotic. So basically, it's a full leg brace from the bottom of my foot all the way up to, you know, the top of my leg. I've had some ugly looking KAFOs, some better looking ones, you know, because I wore these things for many, many years, from age probably 14 when I started wearing them to age 40. And the problem was I would break them all the time. I've had multiple surgeries trying to get me from breaking them. I had a tendon release in my hip, trying to keep me from breaking them. Multiple surgeries on my feet, multiple tendon release surgeries. I've probably had close to 30 surgeries in my lifetime, if not more. I've lost count, to be honest with you. So time goes on, and I get a family, I get married, I've got kids, and my walking, gradually as it gets older, it gets worse and worse and worse. And then I'd have surgeries, and I have a picture of me of a surgery I had where I had pins put in my leg. It was like a bone lengthening surgery, and it got to the point where I was in my late 30s, early 40s, to where I just didn't want to do anything in life. I got to where I was just sitting in the back of my room, in the back of the house in my room. The bathroom was right there close. I really didn't want to go anywhere because my leg brace would break so often. And they would make a new brace. They got the best KAFO that held the most pounds and weight they possibly could on the market. And I was still breaking them. And I knew my life just could not go on like it was going. I knew something had to happen. And I'll never forget, I was in a public place, and at this time I decided to go back to school, and I was at the college, and here I am, and about 39 years old, 40 years old, somewhere in there, and I go into the public restroom, and I remember going to the stall, and I hear this loud noise, and I'm like, and I just knew what it was. It was my brace broke, the KAFO. I knew before I even looked. So I left there, and luckily, because it was a big place, I had a scooter, and I was able to get into the scooter, and I ended up going into class with the scooter, and I couldn't walk, so I had to figure out how to get the scooter back in the car because I couldn't pick it up because my leg brace was broke. And I remember going home, and I was like, something has to happen. Something has to change. I can't keep living life like this, not being able to move on in life, not wanting to do anything, being worried. I couldn't go into public without anybody with me because I was always worried that the brace would break, or if I was by myself, it would break and I'd be stuck somewhere, So I started doing some research, and I thought about having my leg fused straight, but I just didn't feel right about that. The more research I did, and I kept doing more research. And you gotta understand, years prior, I did research on having my leg amputated just because it was the thought of having it done, and the doctor said you don't have the right strength in your legs, and you have to have so much quad muscle and glutes, and it just couldn't make it function. And I remember thinking when I was younger, I was like, I see all these people without their leg, and they're able to function better in life than I can. So something has to happen, So I go and start doing some research, and because I had these KAFO braces, I knew who I could talk to about having leg amputation and getting a prosthetic, because they also built prosthetics. So I started talking to other amputees and doctors. Once the doctor said, yes, I think it would help you, I think it would work. I started talking and just doing more research. I went to one doctor. He goes, I don't think I'm the guy for you. He sent me to a different doctor. And then I had connections with other doctors I could talk to just because of the guy I was talking to that builds the prosthetics. I knew of a good doctor in our area I could talk to. And I go to see him, and he said, I can do the surgery, and I really believe it'll work for you. So I have the surgery. I decide to have it. I come out of surgery, and honestly, people ask me, how'd you feel after the surgery? And I just tell people, you know what? It was such a relief to have that leg gone, to be honest with you, because it was just in the way. It was just there in the way. So life goes on, and I go to physical therapy, and I'm working hard. Once I make up my mind to do something, I go for it. Okay, like nothing's gonna get in my way. I'm gonna work hard for it. I'm in physical therapy for a little over a year. But right after the leg amputation, which the cool story is, there was a new prosthetic leg that came out that they felt like would work for me. And the cool thing is it's got a microprocessor in it. It's got a little motor in it, like the Mars rover motor. So what is really awesome, I feel like God wanted me to have the surgery, but I didn't know about this new leg, and I was a perfect candidate for this leg. In fact, I was probably within the first 10 of the people in the United States to get this leg. So I was so excited. I tried this new leg on, and I was in another one temporarily as a prosthetic, but it was just night and day different. So I was like, that's the one I'm using. So here it is, a year and a half later, after the amputation, and I am walking. Just a few days ago, I was walking without a cane or crutches or any assistance around the house. And it was just such joy to know that finally, I went through the situation at age 13, losing my ability to walk, and here I am I'm age 41, and I'm actually walking now. It looks so normal, and I'm just so excited what's happening. I mean, looking back and seeing the video of me walking, the thoughts, you can only imagine thinking, wow, I am walking. Like, this is the thing I've been praying for and praying for years, and it is happening. It is happening right now. I mean, it is so exciting what God is doing. But listen, thank you so much for listening, and I am so glad, and I hope this blesses you, and have a very blessed and wonderful day. Bye.
But I've made up in my mind that I will get a reward for the pain that I go through. I will not stop in the middle of the process. I will not be defeated. I will not be destroyed. I will take everything that happens in my life and I will allow the pain to push me to greatness. You will not break me. You will not stop me. You will not defeat me. The only way I lose is if I quit. It's going to be a dog fight. And so if you're ready to quit, then don't get started. If you're ready.
That feels better.
Good.
That feels better.
Okay. Okay. A little more stable.
Yes.
Okay.
It
Go
does
again.
feel more stable.
Yep.
Do I need to lift my leg higher so it doesn't grab? Or in my
A
hips?
little bit. A little bit. That just
Like-
kind of comes with some practice.
Okay.
Yeah. Good.
What's crazy is I can feel the muscles in here
Uh-huh.
as I'm doing this. Like they're contracting.
Uh-huh.
You good?